The Last Night on Maple Avenue. On Chicago's South Side, 82-year-old Evelyn Carter lived out her final days in the same brick house she had called home for nearly 6 decades. She was frail, sick, and alone, but she refused to leave the place where she had raised her children and buried her husband. Her neighborhood had changed. Once filled with families, laughter, and barbecues, it had become a place where silence fell heavy after dark. Whispers of gang wars and unsolved crimes lingered on every corner. Still, Evelyn stayed. She thought nothing could touch her anymore. She was wrong. On a cold April night, just after 2 in the morning, 3 masked figures appeared on Maple Avenue. Security footage from a nearby gas station captured them walking with purpose. They carried bags, heavy with wires and metal. They weren't teenagers playing pranks. They were hunters, and Evelyn was their prey. The men moved silently, their faces hidden under dark hoods. When they reached Evelyn's house, one of them pulled out a can of spray paint and left a jagged mark on her front fence. The symbol was crude but menacing, later tied to a rising Chicago street crew. Another placed a small device on her wooden porch. For a moment, the street went quiet. Then came the explosion. The blast ripped through Evelyn's porch, splintering wood and shattering glass. Fire licked up the walls of her home. Neighbors woke to screams and the shriek of alarms as smoke poured into the night sky. Inside, Evelyn was trapped. The explosion had thrown her from her bed. She gasped for air as black smoke filled her lungs. Her frail body trembled as she struggled to move. She cried out for help, but the fire roared louder than her voice. Sirens cut through the chaos. Firefighters swarmed the scene, forcing their way into the collapsing home. Through the smoke, they found Evelyn curled on the floor, her eyes wide with terror. She was barely conscious as they carried her into the night. And then, with what little strength she had left, she whispered something that sent chills through the paramedics who heard her. They told me they'd come back. No one knew who they were. No one knew what Evelyn meant. But those words would echo long after the flames were put out. As police began their investigation, Evelyn's past resurfaced. At first glance, she seemed like any other elderly widow. But her late husband, Ray Carter, had once been rumored to run with dangerous men tied to hustling, bootlegging, and eventually organized crime. Ray had died decades earlier, but whispers followed Evelyn for years. Detectives wondered, was the bombing a random act of gang violence? Or was it a message delivered to a dying woman as part of a debt long unpaid? Some believed the masked men were simply staking territory. Others believed they were sent for Evelyn specifically, to silence her before she revealed something she had kept hidden. And some whispered even darker theories, that Evelyn herself had struck a bargain long ago, a bargain that no one can ever truly escape. Evelyn survived the bombing, but only for a short time. Weeks later, she passed away in hospice care, taking her secrets with her. No one was ever arrested. The symbol painted on her fence remains unsolved, a mark of violence that the city has quietly forgotten. But those who lived on Maple Avenue that night never forgot Evelyn's words. They told me they'd come back, and for some, that was the most terrifying part. Because in Chicago, ghosts of the past don't always rest in peace. Sometimes they return in the dead of night, wearing masks.